Hello?
Hey, Bob.
Yep.
Hello.
Hey, Mike.
Yes.
What do you want to do about signing these documents since we're in remote meetings? Can I just sign for you, or do you want to come in and sign these things?
He usually signs the copy he has and then emails it to you.
Oh, okay. We keep doing that?
Yeah, that should work.
Okay.
Mike, you're good to go. You're live on YouTube. It's ready whenever you are, sir.
All right. We got everybody here.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Yeah.
And got a quorum. Hopefully everybody can hear me. My name is Michael Garris, Chair. I call this regularly scheduled meeting of the Historic District Commission to order this 15th, or no, I'm sorry, the 20th day of January of 2020. There is a quorum present. The roster of the staff to the commission, of the commission members, and the technical posts that they fill in accordance with the requirements of the Hagerstown zoning ordinance are on file with the city of Hagerstown, are available on request to any applicant, and are hereby made a part of the legal record of each and every application heard today. All decisions rendered are based on the Secretary of Interior Standards and Guidelines as adopted by the city of Hagerstown. Each decision is made on a case-by-case basis and is not intended to be precedent. If you have any cell phones or other electronic devices, please make sure that they've been silenced. All meetings are recorded and broadcast live on YouTube. We have two types of cases, consent agenda and design review. For the consent agenda, I'll ask anybody in the audience if they have any issues with those particular cases. If not, I'll then ask commission members if they have any issues with any of the consent agenda items. If there are no issues, that we will then blanket approve those particular cases, and those applicants will be free to leave the meeting. For design review, when your case is called, please join with the commission. For the record, please state your name and address. There will be a brief synopsis of your application from the staff consultant. After that, the floor will then be turned over to the applicant for any further elaboration, and then the floor will be open for discussion by the commission members prior to rendering a decision on that application. At this time, we should have approval of the minutes for December 10th. Hopefully all commission members have had a chance to review that. If so, we'll entertain a motion to adopt or a motion to modify as need be.
Motion to approve.
Second,
I second.
all right. Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Aye.
Leslie, you were in agreement with the approval, correct?
Yes, I
Thank
don't
you.
know if you can hear me.
Motion carries. So the minutes have been approved. First case up. Back to my agenda here. All right, HDC case 2021-01 under consent agenda for 3335 West Washington Street, Washington County Board of County Commissioners for wireless communication equipment. I take it nobody in our listening audience has any issues with this particular case.
No.
Commission members, any concerns with this particular case?
No,
Right. If everybody's in agreement with approval, we'll entertain a motion as such.
Mr. Chairman, material 21 dash, what is the number, 01?
01, yes.
And its associated staff report and recommendations, and I have viewed the property in question. The staff report recommends approval of this application and has appeared at this meeting with concerns about issues with or objects to this application. Therefore, I move that this commission adopt the staff's evaluation and recommendations in this case as it's
you still there? Hello, Bob.
He's gone.
We lose him?
We lost him.
We lost him.
So should I step in for him?
We
At
don't
this
have
point, I don't know if we have a quorum at this point, do we?
one. And I can't, oh, it's ringing now.
Okay, hang on. He may be back in here. Give him a second.
All right, yeah. I guess you're gonna have to sign back in again. Can you use your wife's phone? Yeah, please do, because we don't have a quorum without you. That's okay. Okay. Okay, okay, well, try to call on your wife's phone, please. Okay, thank you.
We can't get in. He can call us. We put him on speaker.
That's good.
While we're waiting, can you guys hear me? It's Leslie.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, just making sure. Okay.
Bob. Can I put you on speaker on my phone? Hi, Bob. You're back? Oh, there it is. Thanks.
Here it comes.
Okay.
Hello?
Hello, Bob. Okay. You can continue with your motion, please.
I don't know where, oh, I think I know where I was. Has appeared at this meeting with concerns about issues with or objections to this application. Therefore, I move that this commission adopt the staff evaluations and recommendations in this case as its own and grant a certificate of appropriateness to the applicant for case number 2021-01.
All right. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right. Thank you. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
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 All right, any of those opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. All right, so HDC case 2021-01 has been approved. Those members in our audience are free to head out. Next up is design review for HDC 2020-43 for 148, 152 West Washington Street. Hinkle Law for signage. Mr. Bachmiller, if you can give us a synopsis, please.
Okay, this is HDC case 2020-43. The applicant is Hinkle Law, PPLC, David Hinkle. Property is located at 148 to 152 West Washington Street in the Downtown Historic District. This building is a resource. It's a significant building to the character of the Historic District. This is the home of Congressman James Roman, who was a congressman during the Mexican War. Photographs of the property are shown on page 1 of your staff report. Design guidelines are pages 37 to 41 of the downtown guidelines. The description of work and plans is the applicant proposes to install 2 signs on the building. The sign facing West Washington Street will measure 11 by 34 inches. The sign on the east facing wall near the entrance to the office will measure 12 by 20 inches. Both signs will be constructed of 3mm aluminite with a high-density corrugated polypropylene core and adhere to the existing wood signs. Recommendation: staff does not recommend the application of a metal surface to the face of these wooden signs. Secretary of Interior Standards 9 and 10.
Is our applicant here?
Yes.
Yes, this is David Hinkle for Hinkle Law.
Right. Any further elaboration, sir?
Yes, I think when our position is that, I understand that the recommendation is that we paint our sign directly on the existing sign. Our sign manufacturer here, Sensal Signs, recommended using the Alumilite material because it would last longer. It's easier for them to do in the shop. I think the renderings look like it's going to be a little bit more stark of a difference than what it will be in reality. I don't think from the street you'd really be able to tell that it's a separate material on top of the existing sign. Obviously, we wanted to respect the existing signage that was there, and we're just looking for the least invasive way to do that.
Okay. All right. Commission members?
I don't have a rationale to allow for metal if someone else can weigh in on that.
I was just wondering if a wooden frame could be built around the existing sign, and when the new sign is applied, that it will cover the exposed edges of the aluminum corrugated plastic core.
I think that's possible, but another thing to keep in mind, we're only talking about the entire thickness of the metal sign is only 1/8 of an inch. So we're talking about a very small edge to the metal sign.
Mr. Hinkle, when I was looking over the application, the thing that kind of stuck out at me is it looked like that the metal was not going to cover the entire area of the sign within the existing frame. Is that correct, or did I misinterpret that?
I think for one of the signs, it's anticipated that it would. The other sign, I don't know if it's just from the rendering. I think we wanted to try to keep the, for the sign that was facing the street, I think we wanted to keep the indication that it was on the first floor. Again, from what I understand, the rendering, I think, looks a little more stark in that the coloring in the rendering looks much different than what's on there now. I think the existing signs need a good cleaning, and I don't think there'll be much of a stark difference between the two shades of white once we get the Alumilite on there.
My concern was when I crafted the recommendation is that as I understood it, you would have part of the face of the sign being wood and part of the face of the sign being metal. If you redid the entire face of the sign and did it to the dimensions of the wood frame, and we're able to drop it within the wood frame so there, it looks like it's at least consistent within the frame, I would be less concerned. But my understanding, like I said, my understanding was when reviewing it that part of the face of the sign would be metal and part of it would remain wood, and that was where my concern was.
Right, I can understand. I mean, and looking at the photos here in the packet, you know, the two signs, they've got like a top and bottom scroll. And as long as I think the metal comes out to the edges on the side. Now, worst case, I mean, I would have, I guess, a little bit of concern if somebody gets up close to it with the alumina light, I guess adhered to the polypropylene, which is what it's gonna look like a piece of cardboard, so to speak. If there was even on the sides, like a piece of screen mold that is painted, you know, the same color as the rest of the sign, that way you're not seeing the edges, you know, the raw edge exposed at that point. But as long as the sign itself fills, you know, the entire, I guess, sign area from edge to edge, and you know, with a small piece of trim wood, you know, to either side of that, I don't think I would have an issue, because I don't think you're really going to pick up on it. The average person's not going to pick up on it that it's metal as opposed to wood, as long as everything's got a, you know, a nice bright finish on it, or, you know, same paint.
And again, I just want to reiterate, the entire thickness is only 1/8 of an inch. So it's not going to look like, I understand your concern. It's not even as thick as what you would consider to be the thickness of a cardboard box. You know, it's so, it's going to be very thin material, is my understanding.
Anybody else want to weigh in on this, Chris?
Again, and I'll say it again, as long as that exposed edge of the corrugated plastic core is covered, screen mold, or if you have to have something run special for it, I have no problem with it.
Chris, any comments?
I would agree.
Yeah, I have oh, go ahead.
I said I would agree with Bob, just to have it covered, even if it is really just a tiny inch. It does help, I think.
All right, Leslie?
Yes, thank you. If on a separate note, I agree with Bob on the edging, because it kind of falls outside of where we sit on the design issue. But I also wanted to just ask again about the number of signs on this building with the number of tenants. I think we've addressed this before. It says the applicant proposes to install 2 signs, but I'm guessing that means replacement signs, not additional signs. It has to do with that prior conversation about the number of signs on a building with multiple tenants becoming a big billboard.
Not even replacing the sign, they're modifying existing signs.
Okay.
It would be nice though, if the property owner in this case, they would come up with something comprehensive for the whole building, because the signage is a bit out of control with this. But
yes,
it's not before you today, so.
Okay. Thank you.
What I'm hearing, everybody seems to be in agreement as far as the aluminite being acceptable, as long as we've got, you know, edge to edge coverage and something just to cover that's the raw edge of the existing, or the new sign, and it could be a small piece of wood. for that.
Yeah, I agree with you, Mike.
And just a procedural reminder for everybody, including the applicant, the board can only vote on what's in front of it. The applicant can amend the application based on the feedback he has just gotten if he wants to, in order to get an approval. But ultimately, the commission can't change the applicant's application. Only the applicant can do that, requesting an amendment. So you either have to vote on what's in front of you, depending on what it is that Mr. Hinkle decides he wants to do, stick with the existing application and take his chance, or amend the application based on the guidance received. Ultimately, you can only vote on what he puts in front of you.
Can I move to have it amended, or can I ask to have it amended on the record here, or do I need to submit a second written
No, as long as you're in agreement, we'll also note that the application has been amended.
Yeah, I would amend my application to the extent that the Illumilite doesn't meet the edge of the existing sign, that I would have my sign person add some sort of a trim or molding to cover up the exposed corrugated edge. Yes.
All right. We appreciate that. Commission
No problem.
members, everybody's
I'm
okay
good.
with that? Okay.
Yep.
I believe
good.
everybody's in agreement at this point. I think we've have this ready that can be moved forward. I'll entertain a motion for adoption.
Don't everyone speak up.
Mr. Chairman, I have reviewed the materials submitted in case number 2020-43 and its associated staff report and recommendations, and I have reviewed the property in question. The staff report recommends approval of the application as consistent with the applicable standards adopted by this commission, and no one has appeared at this hearing with concerns about, issues with, or objections to this application. Therefore, I move that this commission adopt the staff evaluation and recommendations in this case as its own, and grant a certificate of appropriateness to the applicant for case number 2020-43.
Is there a second?
I second.
All right, discussion. At this point, I'd like to make sure that the motion indicates that the applicant, it's the amended application. Everybody's okay with that?
I'm okay.
Yes.
Chris, you okay with having the motion amended?
Yes.
All right, and second as agreed also. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the approval of the amended application, please signify by saying aye.
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 All right. Those opposed, motion carries. All right, sir, we certainly appreciate your assistance with that. We'll get this signed and you should be good to go.
Thank you very much, folks. Have a great day.
All right, you too.
Thank you.
Next up on the agenda, there are no workshops. We have new business. There's a letter request from the Washington County Historical Advisory Committee request. If we can get some background on that.
We received this from the County Historical Advisory Committee. It's some draft public information materials that they have put together. They're soliciting comment on them. That's all I got. I mean, we sent it out to you so you could all read it. If you want my opinion, I'll give it to you, but otherwise I'll stay quiet.
I guess before we'll ask for Mr. Bachmiller's opinion, we'll ask Mr. Hobbs here. I guess you're here representing the Historic Advisory Committee.
I think Scott was here for the power.
Okay, never mind. All right. So we don't have anybody here as far as from this Historical Advisory Committee. All right. Well then, Steve, if you want to express your opinion at this point, I'm
My opinion is really simple when it comes to interjurisdictional things. If you don't want them playing in your sandbox, don't play in theirs. But they did solicit comments, so if you choose to provide them feedback, you're more than welcome to.
Any commission members?
I'll weigh in. I've been following this for a while, and I agree with their recommendations, except for one thing, which is already stalled at the Washington Commissioners level, which is the amount of time allotted for evaluation of 90 days. The committee had wanted longer period of time, and they had pushback from that commission meeting, which you can see online, saying it was an unfair limit on the property owner for like a demolition permit, which that 90 days was for the commission to step in and try to, find another way before losing a historic thing. Just to review the demolition permits, this is where it originated. So just the fact that our meeting being delayed for a quorum issue and their meetings being delayed for a quorum issue, I think amplifies why a 90-day period really isn't sufficient, because of people and COVID and whatever other things get in the way of pushing government timeframes, meeting responsibilities for notification of the public, all of that. And I would have recommended a longer period of time to allow for those kinds of things that are just normal behaviors for them to evaluate this. And remembering that the demolition aspect wasn't when a permit would come before, with this ordinance, as I understand it, if a permit came before them and it was designated straight away that it was just not within their purview, they would just send it back and things would progress. These would only be for the ones that, to give the commission a chance to inventory the place, take photographs, find alternative funding sources for the property owner and investigate that. And this 90 days really is insufficient. And that's my opinion on that, because those are realities. And I am in favor of trying to find ways to keep properties, historic properties, within Washington County and Hagerstown as an important factor for tourism and a lot of other reasons. And I also sent because you may not be able to hear me, I sent a copy of the recent governor proclamation about supporting local tourism. And with the amount of money that Washington County spends on acquiring rural areas and the continued support of our governor for these areas, I think we should get behind that, because at the end of the day, there may not be any teeth in this at all, but if we stand and do nothing, then we only have ourselves to blame letting these opportunities go. And that's my speech.
You may get off
Anybody
your
else?
soapbox now.
Thank you.
Anybody else have any comments?
I agree with Leslie in regard to lengthening the time frame, because a good example would be my situation last meeting when I'm sitting out at the hospital and you needed me for a quorum and I couldn't help. So
Right.
If you can extend this from 120 days or 150 days, I have no problem with it.
The buildings are historic properties, and they've been standing longer than 90 days. And the property owner may not even realize they're sitting on something that they had never considered. And this is really just a courtesy and nod to just information. And if it doesn't come to any fruition, oh well. But it doesn't seem to be too much of an impediment to at least give it a chance.
I agree with both of them. I do think 90 days is certainly longer than the present 45 days, but probably more time, especially for in our current situation, especially maybe 120, 150, or even 180 days would be better, I think.
I don't know if they'll even have a chance to make that kind of a change, because the presentation they gave before really, there was a stickling point by one or two commissioners saying that that was unfair, basically, to the property owner for a demolition permit, which is permanent, you know, once the structure's down. And we've lost a lot of historic properties just by that, because there wasn't anything in place. But the state is investing a lot of money in this western side of the state for these kinds of things. And our tourism in this area seems to be attaching itself to these elements. And I think we should support it.
Yeah, I mean, I have no issue supporting their request. Whatever time frame they can agree to, I think, certainly we can recommend, would ask that they consider a longer time period. However, this document may be what has been agreed to between the advisory
Right.
committee and whoever needs to obviously adopt this particular policy at this point. But and we can, I'm not sure if they're asking just for a letter of support or what they're actually requesting at this point. Certainly we're facing a lot of the same issues within the city in certain properties that could be potential issues down the road that I don't know that we have any of this kind of built into our policies or not yet. I know it's something that we probably need to look at in our, whenever we get to getting the standards and guidelines updated.
If you look at the bottom paragraph in the cover letter, it says, what can you do? They're asking for letters of support. That's the request.
Okay.
I would make a motion to support what they're proposing with, as a letter of support to what they're proposing. But of course, I would want to add that we would wish that the time frame might be longer, but that doesn't mean we're asking them to change it, just examining the realities of just volunteer commissions and the realities of how we work. And now with limited access, it just throws that extra wrench in it. But that would be my motion if you were asking for a motion.
Yeah, I support it too, and I'm glad to see the city and the county making historic preservation a bigger priority. So it makes me happy.
Is that a second to Leslie's motion?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. Any further discussion on the motion then? Hearing none, I will call the motion for a vote. Then all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 All right, those opposed? Okay, motion carries.
Okay, I'll draft up a letter and send it out for everybody's review.
Okay, I appreciate that. Take a look at that. Anything else on this request then? All right, other new business. We have election of officers. I guess right now I'm considered chair, so if anybody wishes to jump to that status, please so state. I'm not going to be offended.
Mike, we also need a vice chair.
I would move that Michael be continue his role as chairman of this committee.
I will second that motion.
Well, yeah, we'll hold on that motion for a second.
You're a dead man.
Yeah, I know. We don't have a full commission here to appoint anybody else, but we do need to fill the vice president or vice chair's position also in case I'm not able to fulfill the obligation as chair at any particular meeting. Who would like to step forward, or who is recommended for that particular spot?
I'd recommend Leslie.
Leslie, you have any
Leslie,
issue?
Leslie, would you accept that appointment?
Are we waiting for more members at another meeting? Can this wait till the next one? They may want this job, Mr. Carroll, or I'll accept it if we have to do, if you want to really do that, but unless someone else cares for that responsibility. Michael's very on time and always shows up, so it's not. Okay.
Have to do the vice chair. It's up to you.
All right, well, we'll go ahead and vote on the other motion. We'll leave the vice chair position open for another meeting. We can bring that back up at our next meeting, that hopefully we will have a better quorum at that particular point. All right, so motion on the floor would be for Mr. Gear to continue as chair of the commission. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Any other new business that needs to be brought before the commission? Any old business that needs to be brought before the commission?
A little note for Stephen. The property at the corner of Mulberry and North Avenue still is not taking care of the top of that fence.
I rode by it a week or so ago. It's Mulberry and what was this other street?
The corner of North and Mulberry.
North of Mulberry, that's right. Okay.
Any other old business? Hearing none, move into announcements. 110, 116 North Potomac Street. Ms. Allen, would you like to expound on that, please?
Yes, I see that they have received they've been before our board before, I believe, with the demolition of their rear carriage house, but I see that they have gotten funding from MHT. So that's exciting. And I just wanted to, put that on our radar, because we always love it when we get that kind of project going on in town. I think something to do with keeping the carriage house too, but I only just started. It just came up.
That's my understanding.
I just want to keep it on there.
What's that?
What were you going to say, Steve?
What Leslie said about the keeping the carriage house is my understanding as well. Keep in mind that MHT has technically higher standards we have for the doling out of their money, and apparently MHT said if you want our money, you're going to save that spring part of the garage, even though this body has approved its demolition in the past.
Okay.
I just think it's worth keeping an eye on. It's just an interesting development.
Okay. Any other announcements? The next meeting is January 28th. I'm going to be in Frederick that afternoon. I anticipate being
February. February.
No.
No, actually, this meeting that we're in now was from last week, so it'll be next week as it stands right now, the 28th, the Thursday. It would be the fourth Thursday of the month.
I'm sorry, we interrupted you. Are you saying you may not be available
Well, I've got a meeting in Frederick at 2:00. I'm anticipating being back here. I just wanted to let, hopefully there is a quorum without me. I mean, I will get in as quickly as possible. I'll try to keep my laptop with me. Whether I have any way to connect to Zoom at that point, I don't know. But I anticipate being back in time. But if traffic gets snarled, although hopefully with things not being completely open, I shouldn't have any issue getting back to join in with the Zoom call at that point. But I just want to make
Okay,
sure everybody's
I have to
aware.
interrupt. I don't want to be snarky, but if you're not here, who's running the meeting?
We'll have to ask somebody to do that if I'm not here.
Under the circumstances,
Yeah, I
if you
understood.
don't have a vice chair. Okay,
So, whoever, if I wouldn't be able
Okay.
to get signed in quickly enough, then whoever's, in attendance at that point, somebody will be asked to take the lead. Steve's choice.
Okay. okay.
Just don't make me angry.
So I will try to, I'll do everything I can to get back in time to be able to join that. I could possibly do it from my phone, but trying to read the statement and that kind of stuff, the opening remarks gets a little difficult trying to read from the phone at that point. But
Okay.
I'll do what I can.
Okay.
Cool. At this point, is there any other business needs to be brought before the commission? Hearing none, we'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
All right, there's a second.
Second.
All
Second.
right, so be it. Thanks, everyone. Appreciate everybody's time. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.